Manager. Today I'm going to show you guys how to generate leads. I have a Pacific buyer looking for properties in the Tennessee area, single family, multifamily, commercial buildings for our portfolio. So they're looking for the big properties. Okay. So again, this is exactly what we're doing. I'm teaching you how to match, so we have a buyer that's looking for commercial real estate. So immediately he said the area, he gave us a area he wants to go in. So we're immediately going to target Texas. Excuse me. Sorry about that. We're immediately going to target Tennessee. And I got Texas on my mind because I was just there in that area. So immediately I'm going to hit Tennessee. It's going to populate Tennessee. I think they said they wanted to be in the metro markets. So immediately we're going to go into the settings. So if you didn't see what I did, I hit filters. I want to filter it out. I want to be able to find what I'm looking for. So multifamily. I want multifamily. They didn't say nothing about RV, so we're going to take that off. We're going to leave this. Student housing, we'll leave that too, because if it makes sense, we'll grab it. And I think that's it, exactly what they're looking for. Let's take auction off. Highest best bid, highest best. Let's take that off. I kind of want to take call for offer off, but I don't mind calling, so it's not a problem for me. For some people, it may be a problem. I just don't like wasting my time, especially if they don't have an idea of what they're trying to do. So this is pretty much the settings I put in. I may change it a little bit depending on what I find. Again, this is how you look for a buyer. They got a lot of stuff right here. You can sort by bedrooms and bathrooms. Did they give us anything as far as that? Nope, they just said, so we're going to keep it basic and keep it simple. Immediately, I'm going to hit search. Now it's going to turn all that criteria. Give me daily. So daily reports. So first things first, how do you tackle something like this? We have 314 list of properties. How do you tackle something like that? So I'm about to show you exactly what to do. So first thing is first, we want to stay in the actual markets where we know our buyer would be interested in. We don't know too much. We just know that they're looking for properties. So immediately what I'm going to do, and I know you're thinking, hey, you should have reached out to him. Again, we have somebody supposed to be doing it, but again, I can't depend on nobody. I'm just showing you guys how to do it, what to do going forward. So I'll remove the boundary to see if I could draw a boundary. There you go. I want to draw a boundary. Draw another one in Knoxville. So I got one in Knoxville. Let me get one in Memphis too. That one is a little bit out into Arkansas, but it's close enough. What I'm trying to do is stay near the metro market. I could go out just a little bit more right there on this. I want to stay nearby the metro markets. This metro market, I may need to do the circle a little smaller. It is wide. It is a wide circle. Okay, so we narrowed it down. I think it said 300 and something or 3,000. I forgot exactly, but it was a three something. Now we had 172. So immediately we got 172 properties. So the next thing I would do, I would look right here to see what else, what other things that they told us. So they didn't give us a specific price. They didn't give us a cap rate. They didn't give us nothing else that could identify exactly what they're looking for other than repairs. So this is one thing I want to do. I want to look at my actual. So this is the sheet that I gave my students. My sheet has more information on it. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pause this. That gave us a price point now. So do you see what it dropped it to? It dropped it to a total of 55 results now. And just based off the information alone, it dropped it to 55K. Now the next thing we could do, we want to so two things we could do. I'm gonna get rid of this, and we're gonna leave this open for a little bit. To see me do, we're about to build a list with all this information, and we're going to reach out to every one of these people to spark a deal, see what we can come up with going forward. And this property right here, it looks like it needs to definitely be turned over. It needs some updating. I wonder what is the actual rooms. Let's look at the view. View this. Looking at this, as you can see, it's it's a 6-unit property, 6 units on property. This is the address, purchase price, price per unit, gross income. And then we got number of units. Occupancy rate is 83% full. Year it was built, year it was renovated. So this right here is the OM. I'm trying to. I always stumble on saying it. The offer memorandum. However you say it, I say it incorrectly. But here's the income and expenses. Here's the pro forma right here. So based off this information, you could put a deal together. You could see if the numbers work or make sense. We're gonna do another calculation on that in a little bit. So the next thing I would ask myself is, once we do the analyzation, we're going to determine if it's worth the price that they wanna sell it for or not, and we pivot off of that information alone. So what I do, I just reach out to them. But right now, I'm just showing you guys what to do, how to build a list. So I'm pretty much looking for, to be honest with you, I'm looking for me, but for them at the same time. Imagine I'm still recording. Okay, perfect. So you come right here, click that OM. Oops, I am not an agent. Sorry about that. So immediately here's another. It's a 20 unit. Your taxes and insurance. The unit mix. Occupancy rate. This may 75%. Gross monthly income. Vacancy. Operating expenses, operating income. 70% cash flow. So off of this, you can make all right. So this is what I'm gonna do next. So we're going to take every single piece of information. I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do. I'm just skimming through it right now because I don't want to make the video too long. We're about to build a list. I'm about to do a few different things to see if I can build it. I'm trying to see if I can automate it. If I can't automate it, I'm gonna do it by hand and do it. It's 55 properties, so it ain't gonna take too long. But I'm about to automate it. Export. Let's see. Will it let me do it? So I ain't even have to. You can come in here and fix it. You don't have to fix it. I just want to fix it so I know what I'm looking at because I don't know what I'm looking at when it's all scrunched up. It's uncomfortable to read. So immediately, now I know what I'm looking at. You see what I'm saying? So come in here and fix your stuff. You ain't gotta fix it. You can skip ahead if you don't want to see this part. I'm just getting it right. So when I do call, I know where everything is. I ain't looked at everything so I could just make a phone call right off this. We might do another video on that phone call, having that conversation, asking questions. Again, I could do this two different ways. I could lock it up myself, or I could bird dog get an agreement directly from the buyer, and bring it to them that way. The goal for me is really just to bring something to the table that everybody looking for. So immediately we got properties name, the address, of course, on market, multifamily, city, state, zip, tenant, lot size, unit mix, price of unit, NOI, net operating income. It is missing a little bit right here, but we have those MOAs. That's why it's in the MOs. That's why it's important to go through the MOs and actually put in the data, because what we're going to do, we're going to automate this whole process. We want to automate everything. We don't want it to be a hassle trying to do this. We want it to be simple and easy. I got other calculators that I use when it comes to commercial. I might show you guys them later, but I have different calculators for different things, cash flow calculators. Shout out to Anthony. I have a Pacific calculator for multifamily where you could come in and analyze it. I have a bunch of different calculators for different things. This is just a quicker way for me to analyze all 50 of them and determine which ones are a good deal and which ones are not, just based off of what they provided us. And as you know, a lot of this information is going to be throwing a needle in the dark and throwing a dart in a dark. A lot of this information is going to be boo boo. Their numbers are fixed. Their numbers are fixed. The information that they gave us may not be the actual information when we get the actual profit and loss, the T12s and all that. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, so why don't you get that? And you're not seasoned, So 9 out of 10, when you start asking people for that information before you get a property under contract, they not gonna want to do it. Some might give you some may actually give it to you, and some may they force you to get into a contract. Shout out to Anthony. Anthony, he talks a lot about this. He talks a lot about it, and he said one of the tricks he used to tell people, have an escape clause in there, lock it up, and then unlock it. And if the numbers don't make sense, keep it pushing. But again, you're going to come across people that do give it to you. You're going to come across people that don't give it to you. And even if they do give it to you, it still won't be accurate because you need all 3 years. You want to go back. You want to go back 3 years, to make sure you get all the accurate data you can. You want it 4 years if you can, but you want to go back every year to see how this property was performing correctly. And sometimes it's a difficult task because they don't want to give you that information. You're gonna see. You're gonna see. Again, I might this may be a part of my situation because if I structure this right and I bring it to the right person, instead of giving me the assignment fee, let me own equity in the transaction. Let me own equity in the transaction, and at the same time, let me own one of the units, and I stay in there. I stay in there. I don't want to pay no rent. Again, this is a piece of my own. This is my asset, OPM, other people's money. I keep telling y'all, these are the strategies. This is how you do it, and this is how I'm doing it. So again, this could be part of my saga. This could be part of that chapter. Again, I'm just moving and grooving. I'm moving, sticking and moving, sticking and moving. So again, we need to come in and fill the rest of that NOI in. And then I think we're missing expenses. We might create a file, a sale exactly for expenses. I don't see it. So days on market is important. Days on market is definitely important because that's going to dictate how motivated they are. Commercial properties sit on market a little longer if they're not that good. If they're good, they won't last. But one of the biggest things that I've learned, and this is just from experience and being around other people, a shitty deal can turn into a good deal depending on how you structure it. If you structure it correctly, a bad deal can turn into a good deal. So it depends on what you're doing. It depends on what you're doing. Shout out to Pace Morby. I keep giving that man shout outs, but shout out to Pace Morby. He always talks about wholesalers. They try to wholesale a property that's not meant to be wholesale. You're giving a discounted cash offer to a home that easily should have been a subject to, or a home that easily should have been this. And the reason why he say that, because most people, they only do what they know. They don't understand when you coming in, you got to be a doctor. You got to be strategic. You got to think. You got to figure out how to solve this person's problem. You can't just use a hammer to actually screw drive a screw in. You need a screwdriver. You can't use a hammer to take off a bolt if it's not an actual nail. It's going to be very difficult to take off that bolt if you're using a hammer. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, basically what I'm saying is you got to use the correct tool to solve the problem. Yes, wholesaling, especially discounted cash offers, that's a tool. Seller financing, it's a tool. Subject to, it's a tool. Contract for deeds, it's a tool. And every one of these strategies or methods you will use for different things. Like one of the things I realized was a lot of homeowners, and shout out to agents. Again, I love my agents, but shout out to agents. Some of them that actually know seller finance, they push their client into doing contract for deed because they still have access to the actual deed. They still own the deed. So therefore, you still have control over not the transaction. You still have control over the actual your property versus giving it all away. So I always say shit out to them because again they teaching them, hey, if you do this, you still got some power, you still got some leeway. You can't do anything that you're the owner still basically. So what we're going to come in and do right here, I want to make this easy when we're going to put 2 more sales right by it. So we got NOI. So again, we got pro forma now. So we got all the key components. We're going to run this through a few AI tools and see what they come up with. Obviously, we got to put all this information in. I might do another video about that itself, and see what they come up with. The goal is and this is what I'm gonna tell ChatGPT. Determine this. This is exactly what I'm gonna say. This is gonna be an estimate where we're taking this data. Um, what's the word they use? Not as is, but we're taking this data as presented to us, and we're going to figure out exactly what price difference does it make sense at, and then we're going to do a deeper dive. The deeper dive is going to be really using those commercial calculators that I have, putting numbers on spreadsheets, factoring in the mortgage, factoring in if we get a mortgage, where our DCR need to be, um, just doing all that good homework. Again, I got a big pamphlet. On this stuff, and I'm studying this stuff to get my own apartment. So to me, I look at this as practice. Every single day you got an opportunity. It's practice to find that correct deal. And the strategic thing about me is I'm constantly trying to do things. I'm constantly putting myself in a position to win. And I got other people in the commercial space that, hey, they need deals, they need leads. I can't put this on one of my rookies because they'll get too confused. They ain't gonna know what to ask. And I just do it. I do it. The reason why I say that because I know what I need. I know what it need, what it's required to put a deal together. So we gonna do all that. But yeah, guys, another video coming soon. Be looking out for it. We may do a video on just putting all this on. No, I don't want to waste you guys' time. I may speed that up. I may just do a video on how to tell ChatGPT how to analyze it quickly, and then show you what the actual commercial calculator look like. But thank you guys for your time. Again, this is how you build a list on Crexy quickly, fast, in a hurry. Again, it didn't take that much time. I honestly didn't even know you can export from here until I read export results. It slipped my mind that you can do all these tools, because I only use this when I'm really looking for commercial stuff, and that's every once in a while. Again, I mainly use this. Excuse me. I mainly used it for me specifically, looking for actual property. So I never really spent a lot of time on it. Like, hey, we're going to directly take 30 days, to find us this property. We're going to, this is where I'm going to spend a lot of my time. I didn't do that. So now I'm doing that. And for me, right now, all I want to do is focus on commercial. I'm going to let my VAs handle that residential. I'm going to drift off into the big boy world. And, I'm going to stay in the big boy world. To me, I like the commercial. The spread is bigger. You're talking about thousands of dollars, for doing simple things that you do every single day. And for me, I like talking to the sharks. I like speaking to the people, the big boys, the boys that's, they lending money, they making moves, they touching millions of dollars. I like sitting with them because the reward, excuse me, the risk versus reward is way better. Don't get me wrong, the commercial, it's a lot that go into it. I could pull up some stuff right now, but I don't want to bore you guys. Commercial, it's a lot more intuitive. Again, shout out to my partner Flip, man, for really just pushing me towards commercial. And then shout out to Anthony for allowing me to be in his 8-week boot camp. I studied good. I kind of surprised him because, so one of the things that I do, I take notes, but I mainly try to listen. I heard somebody said this, and I started doing it. They had said, when you at a webinar and you taking notes. You're not really paying attention to what's being said. You too busy trying to, oh, what did he say? And you trying to write it down, and you're not paying attention. So one of the things that I did when I went to his class was I shut up, listen. I had questions and I asked him, but I shut up, listen. I wasn't doing what everybody else was doing. For me, I mainly had a lot of the information from my partner Flip. Shout out to Flip again. So I came in the real estate commercial space, not knowledgeable, but able to tell you what an NOI is, the income expense. I was able to basically put a deal together, not put a deal together, but tell you what is the requirements that you need to put a deal together. Why? Because that's what I was doing with my partner Flip. He was having me make phone calls and calling commercial people and getting this crucial criteria. And I remember, there was times where it was like the owner didn't want to give it to us. And I sent it to him anyway. He used to get on my tail about it. He like, hey, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. If they don't give you the specific information, toss it. Don't worry about the lead. And at the time, that was a hard thing for me to hear because it was like, bro, I want a deal. But now that I'm seasoned and I understand, you need that information to put a deal together. And if that homeowner or that seller or whoever does not want to give you that information, it's pointless because they're not going to want to give it to me. Again, I said early in the beginning of the video, it's going to be people out there where they're going to force you to get under a contract because they don't understand that you need that information to evaluate the property, or vice versa. They understand and they're hiding what's really going on because again, people have this big price, this 500K. It may not be worth this 500K based off them pictures. I hope it's only one unit like that. If it's more than one unit, it can't be this 500K because let's look at these units real quick. Oh, there you go. Look at those units. Those floors. Ugly. You got to put money to fix those floors. The walls, they look cool. But them floors. I'm not a person that work on houses. So you know exactly what I do. I'm a hustler. Hey, I'm going to go find the person that actually do that. And I'm going to get his opinion. Hey, can you explain to me how much something like this would cost? Just to take an eyeball, it'll give me a price point. And you can either go up or down. One of the things I realize is too. So when doing that, speak to people that's actually live there, because prices they differ from across the world. It may be cheaper at they Lowe's than cheaper at your Lowe's. Your Lowe's may be more expensive. They Lowe's may be having a sale right now. Or he may have discounts because he partnered with Menria. Shout out to Menria. They give you discounts on all that stuff in Lowe's. But again, so you see what I'm saying? The price difference may differ. So you got to get different opinions. Yeah. The biggest thing with me, I'm not scared to ask questions. I'm not scared to bump my head. I'm not scared to figure it out. Some people, they scared to do that. For some people, it's scary to them. For me, it's like, my whole life I've been trying to figure it out. So what's the difference? You know what I mean? So I look at it, you roll with the punches. You keep moving. Again, this is how you build a list. We built the list. This video went a little long just because I was talking a lot. I like to talk a lot. Again, I speak from the heart. I speak from experience. Again, this ain't my first time doing any of this. So it's easy. Like I said, I didn't know that you export because, again, I only use this website for when I'm looking for commercial real estate for myself, but I'm about to go full-time commercial real estate. I need 90 days and I get my first locked up property. It may be a wholesale. We may get a wholesale, or again, I don't know because knowing me, I might ask for equity instead of wholesale because I could play my situation out the way I actually want to. But the problem is, so this is the issue. I really need, when I go to Tennessee, I need a spot to stay at. I want to stay in my own stuff. I don't want to rent from nobody. I want to be able to own my own stuff. I can do what I want there. I ain't tripping. So that's what I'm trying to work out to get, and that's what I am gonna get. I just gotta keep being consistent and keep negotiating, keep doing what I'm doing. But hey everybody, this is Lamont Ellis. So at first I was like, you know what, I ain't gonna record me doing this, and then I said, you know what, I'm gonna record this because a few different reasons. This is a different mo page. This is a demo, a different memorandum that I wanted to show you guys. And then one other thing, like I said, I'm not a know-it-all. This was a perfect example. I don't remember the difference between what those were, the difference between this and this. So immediately I went to my best friend, ChatGPT. Hey, big dog, put me on game. So again, he explained it in a way. Like I said, I don't know everything. I remember taking the actual class, but I don't know everything. So the reason why, excuse me, why I wanted to do this was because I wanted to show you, this is a learn as you go thing. I took the 8-week boot camp, and certain things was talked about and certain things wasn't talked about. I remember him going over the GPI. I remember him going over that. But again, this is one of the things I like to tell people. So excuse me, when you speaking to a broker or when you speaking to an agent, and you'll hear me say, hey, they fluff their numbers. Sometimes they may only give you the pro forma. They might not give you the actual numbers. And if they give you the actual numbers, you see the big difference. So right now, this property is generating this versus this is what the pro forma is actually saying, hey, it could be. So the pro forma, and I might do another video on that, but this is just a short, easier way. The pro forma is basically an estimate, a projected number of how much the property could generate if it was like turnkey, a bunch of tenants in there. Like if it was all the way ready, that's what this is for, the pro forma. So we go off of the actual numbers. This is how I was taught to this is how I was taught to evaluate the property. You wanna go off of the actual numbers, but you wanna look at the projected numbers to see if your projections would be the same. If they're slightly lower or slightly higher, you want to see why are they slightly lower or slightly higher. So this is how I was taught. This is commercial in a nutshell. We got that in there. As you can see, I've been going through this. So the ones in green, we got the data. The ones that are in gray, we didn't get no data, so we would actually have to call them to figure out exactly could we put a deal together. So when I get done with this whole thing, we're going to put them in different spreadsheets, and we're going to go off of the ones that actually do got the numbers. We can get a deal going. Again, this is how you break it down. Like I said, commercial, it's a lot different. So we're going to, what number is this? This is page 23. So I'm gonna just show you. This is the this is the memorandum. I have a hard time saying it, pronouncing it sometimes. So every memorandum is going to be different. This one, again, this is a professionally done one. It got a summary, a financial analyst. It got the market data, property description, sales comps, rent rolls, company profile. So this one, you could tell it was done professional. They spent some money to get it right. So immediately you see it's giving us all this good data. So data about the unit mix, the actual units themselves. Is it a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, that type of thing? Which ones are selling more? So again, they put a lot of time into this. Sometimes you're going to come across one, and I might show you the example, but sometimes you may come across one where they just threw it together. They put it on a document, because again, it just depends on how professional those owners are. So this is something where, again, I have the experience dealing with commercial, but one of the biggest things was, like I said in the recruiting video, I was trying to do so many things at once, and it's very difficult to do so many things at once. My true passion is real estate. I like commercial real estate. The spreads are a lot bigger. I feel like it's worth the time that I'm putting in versus not worth the time. Again, you're talking about anywhere from $50,000 to $100K, and that's easily on a commercial deal. So the spreads are a lot different. It's a lot bigger, but it is time consuming. It's a lot more data that goes into it. It's a lot more knowledge. For me, again, I'm not afraid of putting in work. I'm not afraid of learning, trial and error. So I'm not afraid of that. To me, I look at that as a challenge in a sense. And I push myself to do what I need to do. So here's the comps that they gave us. Again, we're just skimming through this. Right now, I'm trying to get as much data as possible when it comes to the actual property itself. So we could just contact them and put a deal together. I may wholesale this, or I may partner with that buyer we showed you in the beginning of it. I may partner with them and just bring that to them. It just depends on the actual conversation. I do know if I bring that to them, I won't have to pay for majority of the stuff. I won't have to pay to get a Pacific contract made. I won't have to pay for certain things to do it. And on top of that, I'm kind of getting a one-on-one, with them. So it really just depends on the route I want to take. At this current moment, we are vetting the deals. We are going through each deal, underwriting it. So we're getting ready to underwrite it. We're not actually underwriting it yet. As you can see, some of them we still need we still need information such as expenses and income. We need to know all that. I was going to put the whole performer right here, but I was like, you know what, that's going to take too much time. I may come back and do that later after I have all this set up. But guys, this is the process. Like I said, this is what you would do when you buy an apartment building. And the only reason why I know this is because I took that apartment building class. So this is a good way to determine, shout out to him. Gotta support the, I'm trying to gotta support the team. So this is a good document. So what's going to end up happening after we get all the information, these expenses and income, we're going to verify them and figure out which ones make a deal, which ones make sense as a cash purchase price or as a seller finance purchase price if they're offering seller financing. Sometimes, again, shout out to Anthony, shout out to Flipman. Sometimes they may start off as a cash offer, and then we get feedback from a buyer, and the buyer say, you know what, that price, it just doesn't work for me. So we go back and structure it as a seller financing, or we find another transaction that actually works. Realistically, time frame, we might be looking at 90 days or more as far as closing. Shout out to Anthony. He taught me it's a lot that goes into it. You got to get reports from the government. You got to get I forgot the story that he had told, but I might mess up the story a little bit. But one of his first properties, he didn't know that he had to get um, some feedback from the actual government, the county. He didn't know that. So long story short, one of the properties that they had bought, the government had told the owner, hey, he needed to. It was something like he needed to put a wall up because it was close to the street. And long story short, when he purchased the property, that was something that they had to do. So that means it sounds like nothing, but as a business wise, that's another expense that just came out the blue. Everything when it comes to commercial is planned. It's planned as more like the okay, this is the project, this is a business. So you want to have your ducks in a row. You want to know what you're going to spend. You want to know what your money is going to be spent on, and etc. And you want to know how much money are you going to make back. So long story short, he had to spend money on that. The other story he told us, he gave us a lot of stories, but one of the other stories that stick in my head was, again, it was one of his first properties he purchased. And he had purchased this property, and long story short, something happened in the ground and it split the property. It didn't split it all the way in half, but you could tell like half of the building was cracked. So they had to spend a lot of money, to put that together. And then his partner wasn't saving money from reserves. His partner was, trying to pay off the 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 equity people, the people that invested in the actual thing. So Anthony was on the end like, okay, no, forget them. They'll get their money when they get it. Like this again. This is why it's important to have a rainy day fund, because situations like this, when it was time for them to put money into the actual, put money into the actual building to repair it, they didn't have the money. So now they had to go out and go seek some more money to build it, to fix the situation that they had. Long story short, immediately that stuck in my head that, hey, when you do this, you want to make sure you have a a rainy day fund specifically for your business, and you don't touch it until until you actually need to use it or utilize it, and make sure you put money back out every single time you get paid out of your net operating income. You want to make sure you include your rainy day fund also. This is a business. When I say this is a business owners know exactly what I'm talking about. That this is it's a lot of responsibility that comes with this. You can't just, oh, okay, I made the money, let's spend it. No, you spend it on the proper things, the things that's going to invest right back into your company. That this is a business. I might do another video on leveraging, because I know that story some people may not understand. Okay, well, why didn't they just pay for it themselves? It's a strategy called, it's not a strategy, but it's more of a quote or something. I forgot, it's a statement. I forgot exactly the dialogue that is called, but you're leveraging OPM, other people's money, to come up with it. Investing wise, that's something you don't have to come out of pocket with. That you get to spend. Let's say you had 100K, but you could go use OPM and you only put 10K in. So now you got 90K. You got 90K sitting to the side that you could do whatever. You could purchase another property and repeat the same process. If you put the full 100K in, guess what? You out of a full 100K. Leverage. You would rather think strategic instead of thinking unstrategic. So it's all about the decisions you make. It's all about, how to understand. Again, knowledge is key. What you don't know is going to be the thing that hurts you. But again, guys, this is just an update. I wanted to show you that because I was looking at this this MO, and it was like, I think you guys need to see this. This is a different one. Again, and this was something I knew the difference between profit and loss, but I didn't know the difference between affected gross and potential gross. And I remember him talking about it. Again, I don't talk. Again, I try not to take too much notes, because the thing is, when you're taking notes, you're not paying attention. He gave us a large packet on this, so I go through the packet every single time I have questions, or I go straight to ChatGPT and figure it out. And 9 out of 10, all this information will be put in my actual notes so I can remember going forward. But guys, this is just a POV. Again, it's a good thing I'm doing. The income and expenses was either, well, first of all, the income was so poorly that they didn't want to provide it, or they was being lazy and they didn't want to do their job. They couldn't get it. Sometimes getting this information is very difficult. I understand that. Again, I work with a lot of for sale by owners also, and that's usually the hiccup. The homeowners who are not prepared. They look at commercial properties, expect mom and pops, I should say, not everybody, because I know some people going to try to correct me, and I'm already on you. But mom and pops, they're not that prepared. They don't treat it like how you actually supposed to treat an actual business. They treat it more like a hobby or something in the nature of, hey, I'm gonna get a little bit of things together, but I ain't gonna get everything. They're able to put some stuff together for their taxes, but when it comes to selling or anything like that, they ain't got that. They ain't got the actual hardcore proof. So, shout out to Anthony. Sometimes you may have to ask for that tax report. Sometimes you may have to figure out, hey, what did you give to the tax man? And go off of that. I'm sitting in these rooms, and these investors, they sharing the tricks, the trades. They sharing, how to do it. How to verify certain things, what to ask for, what to get. Again, knowledge is key. You won't know until you start hanging around people that's actually doing what you're trying to do. Yesterday, I just had one of the private equity guys. He called me. He was like, "Hey, Lamont, yeah, join the group. What you think about it? You still interested in apartment buildings?" I said, "Yeah, I am, but I wanted to get some more, some money." They call it skin in the game. They call it, hey, skin in the game. For me, again, my goal was to come in and not have to put anything down, but pay for the LLC and etc. Things like that, like important that you can protect yourself. So that's what I'm scraping up together right now. I'm still focused on locking in. Honestly, like I said, this is just book work to me. This is more or less like homework. Hey, before we actually pull the trigger on an apartment, we let's do some more research. Let's figure out if we can wholesale some properties, and we in the area, that I actually want to buy in. So that's an easy land for me. But I just wanted to show you guys again certain MO reports. It's going to be a lot different. Some of them may not have all the data like this one right here. So I'm gonna mark this in green, but when I separate them out of this actual Excel sheet, I'm going to put it in its own Excel sheet because that requires me to get more information from it. I won't be able to do a quick analyzation. Um, Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes you won't be able to get a quick analyzation. Sometimes it's more or less like a you kind of throwing the dart in the dark. It just depends. It just depends. I was always briefed. I was already when you're looking on properties online, especially commercial properties. These are either picked over properties that they. So in the real estate space, well, you have a lot of people that say, "Hey, don't go online. Don't pick properties online." Then you have some people that say, "Hey, that's how I built my business, online properties." So you got two different perspectives of what you can do. I was going to say what you should do, but what you can do. So depending on the person that you're working with or your partner or whoever, they're going to tell you what to do. For me, shout out to Flip Man and shout out to Anthony. Flip Man, he more or less started working properties online, but restructuring them. Figuring out what is the deal and how can we come to that deal. Um, Anthony or less, he was more like, hey, partner with brokers and have brokers send you off market deals. Again, these are leftover properties. So before the property actually hits the market, they already have a buyer's list that hey, I got this property. We're gonna drop it on the market at X, Y, and Z. Let me know if this is something you're interested in, and then so on. So from there, before it hit the market, it already has a buyer waiting and ready. So it just depends. Like all these properties that we're looking on, these are leftover properties. So what that means when it's leftover, it's going to be difficult to put a deal together. I already know that just based off of again being around other people, because some of these properties may be high priced. You know, I say some because there is a diamond in the rough somewhere, or you can structure it seller finance. And like I always tell you, a property that's not a deal, it can turn into a deal based off of how it's structured. Does the numbers make sense? Yes. So what that means is we will be negotiating. Again, making numbers work, figuring out what works and what doesn't work. It looks like they're willing to do seller financing. That's what it looks like. I'm gonna look at that description because I don't know. If so, this is a good little deal because seller financing, you directly go into the homeowner to create a mortgage. Don't see anything, so I may have to ask them. That's something that we could ask about. I'm not for sure. This could be a normal mortgage that they have on there. I don't know. It doesn't say. It says first loan. Yeah, we need some more feedback on that one. They give us pretty much everything on this one too. So as you can see, every MOA is going to be different. I keep saying MOA. Every MO is going to be different. Some may have a lot of data, some may have a little. It just depends on what MO you're looking at, how much information did the agent or the brokerage get, and from there you're good. But I'm gonna put this in. I ain't gonna hold this video. I ain't gonna make this video too long again. I just want to show you the process. What we're going to do is come in and separate these out. Which ones that actually have all the information, and we're gonna put an offer together. We're gonna put something together for each one of these. I'm gonna go circle back with that buyer we looked at in the beginning, and I'm gonna let him know, the situation, and either decide, hey, should I wholesale it myself, or have him partner with me and we wholesale it together. Either one is fine. I ain't tripping. Again, the biggest goal is just getting trial and error. Trial and error. You're going to fall. You're going to figure it out. And the reason why I suggested partnering with him, because I don't have to worry about paying for a contract, getting it made. Commercial contracts, you can't use a residential contract. You have to use a commercial contract. That's what I was always told. I know some people that have used a residential contract, and that's just because nobody knew. There's a difference. Um, so I'm not sitting there making it seem like I know everything. This is just what I was told, and this is what I've heard from other VAs. Again, when you start to hear people repeat the same thing, it's like, okay, that's the standard. And especially when you talk to other people in the field,